Well, greetings everyone, and welcome back to the Bond Geek channel. Of course, I am your host, as always, Henry, and joining me today is very, very, very special guest, and proof to our parents that we actually do get along and can chat. It is my older brother, James. James, thanks for joining us on the channel, finally.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, I'm really glad actually to have you on here because I always say it's really great within anything that you like. It's great when you agree, you can disagree, but you can have a conversation about it. And what really excites me today is what we're going to be chatting about is basically us sort of growing up very much on like the Brosnan era, the greatness of that a bit, weaknesses, but also again, for those, I'll probably say it right now, James isn't really much a fan of the, if you will, the Daniel Craig era of James Bond. I think that's fair. Would that be fair?
I think that's fair. I'll happily be a fan of the Craig era Bond if someone can point out a single good thing about it.
No, fair enough, fair enough. And I think it's just great to chat about, I think, the two different eras and stuff like that and sort of happy memories with it as well. But before we get into all this, everyone, can I just ask you, if you haven't already, do give us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Really is help for great more Bond content. And definitely comment down below if you'd like James to come back on the show and trash talk more of the Daniel Craig era, by all means. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
James, I wanted to start off with this. One of my favourite memories and sort of connections I have with James Bond is actually when we were younger. It was the days of like PlayStation 2 when I used to have like my friend Edward over, or like you had Johnny over or something, and there was those free multiplayer games we all played. It was Time Splitters 2/Future Perfect, Red Faction 2, but obviously here 007 Nightfire.
Oh, that was brilliant. Love that.
I mean, for me,
all the memories.
Hmm?
All the memories.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I always remember, and I keep saying this on the channel, and I know you've commented on this with the past, but I know the map, it's Skyrail on Nightfire, when you have the rocket launchers that you could control the missiles, and all of us trying to find a hiding spot and shooting the missiles. Do you remember any of that?
That was fantastic. I used to love doing that. Oh, yeah, because I remember when we started on that map, people would start off, you'd be running and gunning, trying to hide each other.
Yeah.
And you get the smart kids. You would then get a sniper rifle, try and find the most weirdest place to hide so no one would try and pick you there and snipe people off.
Yeah.
Until we discovered the rocket launcher with the homing seeking missile you can control yourself.
It was fantastic. And then you, I remember, were the king of literally placing the tripwire, like the laser tripwire things to stop anyone coming near you. You were the king of that.
That's half the fun. I'm a natural troll, I can't deny. So they think they've got you. So, right, I've got him. No, you haven't.
I know, it was, I think, I've often said in the channel, I'd like to get your opinion on this as well. The last Bond game we got in this community was in 2012 with 007 Legends, a terrible, terrible game. We are going to get another game, hopefully soon, from the makers of Hitman to make a Bond game. I think the Bond game... Huh?
That'd be good.
Yeah, no, we're all really excited about that potential. I really do think so strongly that we need more Bond games again, because for me, it heightened everything up, like in between the movies, like you could still play the games. I mean, heck, I was trying to Edward, one of these friends I mentioned earlier, my one, about in the Agent Under Fire multiplayer, how you had the phone with the zip wire thing, you just zip across the entire map going left, right and centre, just messing about as well.
That was great fun. There was so many cool things you could do. It was great. You get your friends over, try and dig out as many controllers for the PS2 as you can.
Oh yeah, and the multiplayer tab, trying to find the place you could sit. The days before DLC and microtransactions, but that's a whole different...
on that.
You and me could do a whole show just complaining about that left, right and centre.
Don't get me started. I mean, I will. But this is going to be 12 hours later.
No, I mean, that's one memory that really just springs to mind. I mean, from your childhood, obviously, I experienced it with you. Is there what sort of Bond memories did you have that really spring to mind that you enjoyed?
Films or games, as it were. There's the original Goldeneye game and Goldeneye film, the first one, the first Bond I ever saw. It was amazing. Fell in love with Bond watching Goldeneye. It was just absolutely incredible. It was like nothing I'd seen before. From like the very beginning where he's bungee jumping off that dam all the way through the drama between him and the betrayal
Oh,
with Sean Bean's character. Sean Bean was amazing in that.
Oh, Sean Bean's just legendary in anything. Again, I was watching. So it's going off a tangent again. I was watching recently the Sean Bean film Black Death.
Yeah.
Just remembering that, I was just.
Yeah. I could never decide was that good or not. I kind of a mixed.
I sort of enjoyed it.
It
Wasn't great, but I enjoyed it.
That's probably fair. Wasn't great. It's not going to win tons of awards, but it's not bad.
And again, he did beat Daniel Craig in his Sharp series.
I feel I'm being very harsh on Daniel Craig. I am a big fan of him as an actor. I was thinking about it again. I don't think his portrayal of Bond is the strongest of the lot, and I include George Lazenby in that. But I do think he arguably got worse scripts or films to do. Oh. If he went back and did perhaps like Roger Moore scripts and did those films again, maybe bringing a bit more of the grittiness to it. And I like Roger Moore.
Who doesn't?
Like a campy Bond might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I still think it was good.
How can you beat Bond having sex in Zero Gravity and End of Moonraker, the Minister of Defence saying, "What is Bond doing?" with Q going, "I think he's attempting re-entry, sir." How can you beat that?
True Brit. You know you're a true Brit when you're always ready for action.
Exactly. Yeah, baby. But no, I mean,
I couldn't have this one dirty joke.
Nah.
Leave it there.
I mean, before we get into sort of Pierce Brosnan era just a little bit more, again, you said like I know you're a fan of like Roger Moore. You're very much a fan of sort of the old Bonds. Any spring to mind? Because I know one is very much a favourite of yours, but I'll let you sort of say.
I think it's starting off with the favourite is obviously Pierce Brosnan.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the Bond I grew up with. I thought his interpretation was really good. How he managed to bring a sort of Timothy Dalton-esque harshness to the character, but was also almost very charming and suave, and almost kind of did the sort of almost the charm of Roger Moore, but took out the campiness by comparison. I like Brosnan. I mean, the best Bond there is, I think it's inarguable. My second favourite is, of course, Sean Connery. Sean Connery was absolutely amazing. And you know he's good when Ian Fleming loved him so much, he rewrote his character of Bond to be more like Sean Connery.
For the record, everyone, I think it's fair to say that you need to give James a lot of like care and like, poor James here. He knows that because of me shoving years and years of Bond info. Did you know this? Do you know this? Henry, shut the up.
I will not forgive you. We were doing, that was it. One of those like those seen it.
Oh God, yeah.
DVD players the years ago. Sorry, you go.
No, please tell the scene again. That's brilliant.
I could have killed you. Henry was too good at the Bond scene it game, as I'm sure you can imagine. So there was, I think, the Bendixes were over. Some friends.
Yeah, some friends.
Some friends around. There was, and there was like me and the other friends. We were teaming up to try and beat you because you were just impossible. Then like it was one of those questions where I was like, guess the name of the character. An E, an O, and an N came up. They were not linked together, they were spread out. And Henry goes, Xena Onatopp. How do you get that? How do you do it?
There was an X at the front of the name. It's like it was very easy from there.
Yes, I know, yeah. You're too good. You're too good at this.
But what I remember is literally it became a sort of recurring joke. Yeah, we'll play it, but Henry was not allowed to play. Henry was just literally, if you couldn't get it, you call up on Henry. I was a lifeline for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, James Bond.
Exactly. Well, you're too good. It's like even when we teamed up, and then we're all rolling rolling the dice, moving the character along the board, and then doing these questions, we still couldn't beat you.
Well, it is my thing, it's fair enough. And
yeah, of course.
But I do know, and I'll probably say, I do know one of your favourite Bond films is actually Live and Let Die.
Yes.
A great one as well.
Yeah. I appreciate it's probably... I maybe not necessarily everyone's favourite film, but I think Live and Let Die is really good. I think it's absolutely amazing.
No, it's brilliant. I think the characters are great. I love like the bad guy Tiki, the henchman with the claw. Even to this day, sometimes I don't do it in the family, but sometimes I go the crocodile farm is like legendary. And
Roger Moore's best film.
Yeah.
Best film.
Oh no, I think Spy Love Me still is best.
Oh, that is a good shout. I'm probably biased. I think, let's say, Live and Die is I think it's so good. But no, but Spy Love Me, that you might be right. I'll agree to disagree on that one.
No, don't get me wrong. It's to say, I love Live and Let Die. Great film. Just it's getting much more love and attention again as years go on. Really fantastic to see. But I know that's one of your favourites. But yeah, let's just switch it to say Brosnan, because again, like you, it was from Mum, who rented Goldeneye from Blockbuster. We both watched at the same time. Absolutely fell in love with it. Obviously, we also have Tomorrow Never Dies, The World's Not Enough, Die Another Day with kite surfing a tsunami. Um, you know, I know. We'll never forget that.
Move on swiftly.
And just talking about the other sort of Bond films like Tomorrow Never Dies, World's Not Enough, and Die Another Day. I mean, what's your sort of reaction with those a bit?
So if I go with Tomorrow Never Dies, it's weird. I think it's one of those films that's technically amazing, but I don't think it has anything special. It doesn't have an edge or some kind of X factor to it. So though I think it's a technically really good film, but I don't think it's a special one.
Okay.
Or Never Dies.
No, fair enough.
World's Not Enough. I'm biased because I love Goldeneye. I think World's Not Enough might be Brosnan's best one. I'll always love Goldeneye as my favorite film, Bond film.
A lot of people do say, like in the community, like Goldeneye is like Brosnan's best film, but they think his best performance is World's Not Enough.
That's absolutely right. Now I think about it, that's definitely bang on. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I like World's Not Enough, even though I still stand by it's got a great sort of pieces in it and scenes. I don't really think the main story holds up very well. I mean, I asked you to try and remember it.
The main character,
exactly.
Point taken.
Yeah, but again, I love it because it has the first proper female Bond villainess and Electra King in the film. We're not going to shame my dad too much, but we know he gets very excited at that torture chair sequence, which is hilarious.
I thought you said we're keeping this clean.
He doesn't watch this; it'll be fine. He'll watch it now because you're in it. This one.
Of
course.
Can I say?
I will say this. I know this is slightly loaded because I know you will agree with me with this. We are massive Monty Python fans. We love the actor John Cleese very much so.
Yes.
One of the things, even though I was happy with like the reboot of Bond and Casino Royale and myself, I will lament it meant that we had to stop having John Cleese as Q, who I thought was a great replacement for Des Llewellyn.
This is what I mean by I think they got it completely wrong. They were so desperate to sort of, in hindsight, they were so desperate to go, right, that's the Bond of that era, that generation. We're going completely new. And because of that, in my opinion, there's like a bit of a cut-off between the two. Yeah. They should have done something more. I think it would have been better even if they brought in John Cleese for a movie or two and have the sort of the changing of the guard. Here is the new way, or the new angle we want to take it in. The new angle we want to take the direction into Bond. And I think that would have worked better. Cutting it off completely was it's a brave decision, but it was almost a bit of, it's not quite two fingers up at the old school fans, but it was a kind of we're obviously not really necessarily thinking about you.
No, okay. I find that very interesting because there's a lot of that sentiment going around at the moment. Like, the last film was like 2021. Every time someone's asked you just said, "Oh, we're not working on the next one yet." It's like you're making it sound like we'll get around to it when we can. Like, where's the passion at the moment, Barbara? So a lot of us are like hoping, fingers crossed that Christopher Nolan wins like the Oscar for Oppenheimer this year, and they finally announce him as the director. We're still hoping, fingers crossed, on that one.
Well, fingers crossed, because you can do a really good modern Bond and make it fantastic and awesome. It's just, in my opinion, I think it works better. You can't have like an old school Bond. It wouldn't work in the modern era. You need some kind of a balance between like the past, the present, and the future where you want to take it into.
Yeah.
If they can link those up, kind of like, here's the traditions, the things we like, we're carrying on. Not so keen on these things, and so we're going to try this, and we think this will work. Kind of take Bond and say you can take the modernity into Bond that way.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, keeping with just Brosnan just for a little bit longer. I mean, again, so many things like modernised it, revolutionised the Bond franchise. As I say, first female villain, like Wei Lin from Tomorrow Never Dies was great. As much as I always state, and I still state it, Die Another Day is the guilty pleasure James Bond film. It really is for me. It's the Flash Gordon of James Bond films. You just know it's bad, but you can't help but love it. And for me, part of that is the fact that it's Toby Stephens as the bad guy just makes it.
Toby Stephens saved that movie, but I'm the biggest Brosnan fan. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it's not his fault, because obviously he wasn't directing it and writing it. But someone clearly is having a few two vodka martinis themselves the way through it.
Yeah.
Like, shall we do this? And it's like, no, let's have him surfing down a tsunami, and all the tsunami on the massive wave, whatever it was. And it's just, yeah, someone needed to sort of take a step back and go, what are we doing here?
Okay, here's a question for you. It's again very biased a bit, but again, in the spirit of this, there are two films like that, that feel that it's the most jump the shark in the series.
Yeah.
Moonraker, going into space and laser gun fighting, basically turning James Bond and Star Wars meshing together. Episode 7, the Martini Awakens, if you will. Or Die Another Day going to over the top. Which one would you say is that's the one that goes most over the top, ridiculously stupid?
Die Another Day, and because it caused so many of the problems that we have nowadays, because they were clearly going, we messed it up in here, we need to sort of try and reground it. Moonraker, it was to hell with it. It was great, it was fantastic. Yes, kind of it's a bit, I don't know, maybe it was a bit silly in ways, but it was the era. Space exploration, so they're trying to do these bits and pieces. It was good. It was great. It wasn't. I don't think it was jump the shark. I think they pushed it and perhaps pushed it a bit too far. But it was within the bound of James Bond believability.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, for me, I don't mind the space battle stuff because I'm willing to go with it and all that stuff. You know me, I love that stuff. For me, it was the fact that the gondola in Venice inflated into a hovercraft and he just went across the whole. That bit. That was the bit when I was like, oh, come on.
Yes, it was a little, even by Bond standards, a little silly. And I get it. I love the silliness at times. It's not Bond until he has the car with the machine guns and rockets coming out of the car and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But even that was a bit sort of, what at all use would a secret agent have for this gondola? It just makes no sense at all.
Well enough, I get more annoyed at that than anything in A View to a Kill, where often, I mean, I state this as well, going on to View to a Kill quickly before we move on to other things. Stallone did not create the Expendables. Roger Moore did in A View to a Kill, because is expendable. He's an Expendables agent.
I liked that as a kid. When I look again as an adult, it's sad, actually. He's too old.
I know.
It's really sad. I think the story in principle could have been a very good one, but he's too old, and that changes not just obviously the dynamic between him and the Bond girls, but other things as well. It's just not Bond.
A lot of people say it's like a missed opportunity if Timothy Dalton wasn't cast earlier and done A View to a Kill. Timothy Dalton versus Christopher Walken could have been.
Oh, Timothy Dalton. I didn't like his Bond films when I was a kid. As you grow older, the most underrated, underappreciated Bond actor we've had.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, I know it's on put you, but films do get a lot of reappreciation over the years, and because people grow up them. Now we're about to see a bit of a Brosnan renaissance because of our generation is now becoming that sort of generation.
Yeah.
But A View to a License to Kill has had a massive. Because when we were kids, I often see it as at the bottom of people's lists and thoughts and feelings. Now it's getting a lot higher. License to Kill.
Yeah, I really hope it does, because Timothy Dalton got the short end of the stick on his films. It's a pity he couldn't have done more. I understand the reason. Obviously, they decided not to carry on with him. And yes, it was quite a change to sort of quite his rough and ready, very physical, very hard man Bond. But he was brilliant, and his films were brilliant.
So now it is the bit now sort of moving on a bit to the Daniel Craig side of things. Again, as you say, I know you actually do like Daniel Craig as an actor. I know very much you like him in Defiance and the bad guy in Tintin, and you love the Knives Out movies. You actually think he is a legitimately good actor, just not Bond.
He is one of our top actors of our generation, without a shadow of a doubt. Period. He's an amazing actor. He is just, for me, he is not Bond.
Could you maybe just go in a little bit more detail for you why he just never was James Bond?
I'd say a couple of things. No, it could be a couple of hundreds of things.
Yeah.
I will try and pick my biggest three. For me, his Bond was always a thug.
Okay.
He wasn't a hard man like Timothy Dalton, who was ruthless to get the job done. He was always just a bit of a thug with how he portrayed his character of Bond.
Okay.
Trying to think of a specific example, but I'll come back to that in a minute. In terms of his dialogue as Bond, he seemed to want to pick up or have the sort of like, not campy Roger Moore, but have lots of the sort of the sayings, the little quips here and stuff that Bond does. And I don't think he delivered them well once. It's just not Bond. It's almost like, I'm trying to be Bond, but I'm a gangster. It's just a bit thuggish. And my third, sorry, I'll stop warbling. The third point was, looking back at the films and things he did, I don't think it's because of that transition from Brosnan to Craig, I don't think he got the best stories. I think if you threw him in something like Timothy Dalton's stories, he would have been a lot better.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, obviously, just starting off, I remember the year he was announced. I mean, it was the year, obviously, you and me, I think, months just before, watched Layer Cake, actually. Sort of, again, I think a really great film. The thing I know him most for, obviously, I had seen him in things like Sharp or Young Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider. But, that was something I sort of most knew him for. Again, I remember at the time I was skeptical, but I think the trailers swayed me. And obviously, I just read the book, and the film did sort of actually follow the book. At least the second half of the film followed the book incredibly closely. So for me, I was just like on cloud nine. I love the parkour chase, and I do get what you mean about being a thug. I mean, certainly in Casino Royale, because the whole point is, if you will, that is like he is a bit of a thug, but he's meant to get the refinery and like become more Bond by the end of the film. But I do think it's a very valid point.
I just don't think he quite achieves that. I feel like when I watch Daniel Craig as Bond, I'm not watching Bond, but it's just some spy drama on TV. I just don't get the Bond vibes from him. He doesn't portray that at all.
I mean, another thing, I think you'll love this a lot is, upon people are now looking back saying, "Ooh, was he really as good as not?" I mean, everyone thinks I have a bit of a hard-on for Daniel Craig, quite far from it. I mean, out of the 6 actors, I would rank him probably 5th. Just beating Lazenby because Lazenby only did 1.
Lazenby was better.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's fair. It's all well and good, just for that reason. I mean, again, his films have been like hit and misses for me. I mean, like Casino Royale was a win for me. Quantum was not that good for many different reasons. Skyfall for me was really good. I really enjoyed it. Spectre was dreadful, I think. Yep. No Time to Die, I felt, ended his tenure, at least on some point, on a high note. Maybe not the biggest high note, but I do think at least of all Bond actors, he actually had a definitive, if you will, ending to his tenure.
I'd agree with your analysis entirely. I really liked, actually, Skyfall when I first saw it. I was like, actually, I thought this is Craig as Bond, and that felt like Bond. And I didn't like some discontinuities in the story. I'm pretty sure, from memory, they changed his entire backstory from the previous Bonds.
No.
To like where his parents were, the rest of it, unless I've misremembered that.
No, it never really went into detail, but all the information there is accurate. Andrew Bond, Scottish father, Danish mother, all that stuff. I mean, Skyfall, the house and stuff was completely made up for the film, but the parent stuff was correct. And
fair enough, I'm wrong on that then, clearly. But I thought at the time, Skyfall, this felt like Bond, and Craig was Bond, and I enjoyed it. But then I watched it back again, and I was like, actually, I think almost, I don't be biased, I wanted it to be Bond more than it was. I don't think it really was that much.
Yeah.
And as you say, his last film, I think she said, it was the best version of Bond that Craig tried to produce. I did believe at times, in a few moments, he was Bond in the last film. At least he got to end it for himself on a high, which is always good. So I don't wish him any ill will.
Oh, no, not to say at all. I mean, it's to say, I compare it a bit, right or wrongly, a bit to like Doctor Who in a sense. If you don't like the current actor, you just wait a couple of years or whatever, and someone new will come along. You might prefer that better. One thing I've always liked about the Craig era, though, in general, was the people he got to be the villains. I mean, you had Mads Mikkelsen, Le Chiffre.
Oh, yeah.
Dominic Green, I admit, was a bit of a hit, but, Javier Bardem Silver, I think, is memorable and very much like there. Christoph Waltz Blofeld was a bit of a wasted opportunity, certainly when they tried EastEnder it, "You're sort of my brother" rubbish.
This is where I get in trouble. The writers and the
Yeah.
directors of these recent Bond films, they either don't understand Bond or think they can do better than Fleming, or
I
their interpretation of his books was not the film. It wasn't good at all.
Again, I'm not trying to say I think based off your interview, they're trying to like turn Bond more. You know, the books were always like novellas. They were meant to be easy reads. Great sort of spy thriller stuff. I think there was very much an essence in the Craig era to try and elevate the films to be much more, if you will, like Oscar-winning movies than being what they were. I think that's the thing with it.
Then they should realise that they should follow the core message. In the books enough is what they need.
Mm.
They didn't the Bond in the Craig. That's what I'm saying. When I look back at it, I'm not. Was Craig that bad at Bond, or was he just given the short end of the stick in the story?
Do I did laugh at, and I think someone made this great point actually about the Craig era, is nowhere in the Craig era is him being really happy or like, my life is like this amazing thrill ride. He's always like mopey and like down all the time.
That was a big sort of theme, like your general atmosphere change from his Bond to the other ones. Other ones, there have been like Timothy Dalton's or even Brosnan at times. There are times when things are dark and hard. But the point is, it's like Bond always finds a way through it.
Yeah.
He said whether it's finding a way around or he just digs deep and gets through it. Whereas Craig was just a bit kind of, it's like waiting for the end, almost like a sad end.
Yeah, no, I get where you come from. I mean, again, sort of keeping with No Time to Die a bit. Again, Rami Malek, I know a lot of people didn't like him. I found him really interesting as Safin, as the bad guy there. But
yeah, it was good.
I would like to ask you this question. I think this is all a lot of people now will be thinking about with you and how you feel about the Craig era. Obviously, they did complete 180 and actually killed Bond at the end of No Time to Die. Now, for me, I always read it as it was the end of Craig's Bond, not James Bond in general. This like thing that started with Casino ends with No Time to Die, complete story in one sense. As a fan watching that and you saw Bond actually finally decide the way to save the world is to kill himself and save his family, how did you sort of react to that a bit?
I thought that was fine. I thought it was absolutely fine. Do I, in principle, like the idea of Bond dying? No. I didn't like when he went away for a while. And as I said, the last film, there was another agent playing 007. It's like James Bond is always 007.
Yeah.
But actually, I thought for his Bond series, it was really good. We can't get too picky on. I think Bond is not necessarily the most serious or like believable, realistic sort of TV series out there. I mean, Bond wasn't he starting in like the 60s or 70s as Bond?
50s.
If it was still the same Bond, he'd be like Bond with a Zimmer frame. I'm gonna get you as he starts trying to chase them at this stage. So it's fine. If that's how Craig wanted to end his thing, it's like this is my Bond. It's done. Great.
Yeah. I mean, everyone just accepts, yes, the actor, you change the actor, even though it is the same person from Connery to Brosnan and stuff. I mean, obviously, we're going to get a full reboot eventually. We know that's going to happen.
Great.
I mean, this is, I think, sort of finishing, going into more anything. Obviously, I'm much looking forward to whatever they come up with next. There's many different ideas going around, whether it be like Christopher Nolan directing or maybe even Guy Ritchie, maybe even potentially doing it. Okay, I know this is off screen. He's done a new World War II film with Henry Cavill coming out this year. It looks amazing. And he's done amazing work from Sherlock.
If Henry Cavill as the new Bond, then I'll be happy.
We'll get on to that bit as well. But, Guy Ritchie's getting quite a bit of name, from like the live action Aladdin, the Sherlock Holmes movies and like that coming out and some other things. Potentially, I mean, as a fan of Bond yourself, not, obviously not like within a Bond community like going mad in it, but, I know you care about it. It's a brilliant thing. What do you want to see that would excite you, like, knowing what direction they might go in next?
I think a little bit of what I had said before. They need to link Bond, to the new modern Bonds, to the movies that have gone before in the spirit and intent of them. I've no issue with them modernising certain elements of Bond, and yes, let's modernise some elements compared to how it used to be. But I mean, quite frankly, at times it felt like in some of the movies they weren't just ignoring the things that gone before; they were sticking two fingers up at it. So if they, I don't know,
Was it there like a rumor about them potentially going back to the 60s and 70s with Bond?
It's not a rumor. It's more like a sorry, because I was talking to, again, everyone. I was just talking to James about this. There is a lot of thing like within some of us in the Bond community would love it. Like, in order to differentiate it and really give it something new and allow Bond to go back to being who he truly is and being something unique in the market, why don't we take Bond back to like the 1960s and do period piece movies? You can still talk about stuff that's happening in the world today, just do it more of an allegory way, and that way you.
I think that'd be great. You just need to go back to the spirit of Bond. I would, yeah, because obviously I'm an expert on these things. If I were to give advice or suggestions, go look at the Brosnan era, look at what it did well, and capture that essence. The Brosnan era, because the Brosnan era was just slightly different from like the previous generations. They kind of pseudo modernized it, I would argue, but it was still very much Bond. Bond is this, as you say, like a you say he's the educated chap who went to university, but he's also a hard man.
Yeah.
He can do all the civilized stuff, all the the best left unseen stuff, and he should be there going up against the insane odds, taking out the baddie, rather than Daniel Craig's Bond, which was kind of a bit like, oh, everything's wrong, I'm sad, and then he can't act the part, he can't just do all the bits and pieces there. I know I'm wording now. I said everything. Yeah,
no.
Go back to the Brosnan era, the stuff that made that great. Carry it on. Do your tweaks and things to how you think it's best for 2024 and onwards to make it your own and modern and good. That's what I do when I stop warbling.
And I think last question, I know you sort of gave a bit of answer away. Who would you want as Bond, and who would you potentially want directing? Because I know you know a couple of directors I know you think might be good at it.
Right. Directors I appreciate, I don't know as well as you. I think Christopher Nolan sounds like an excellent shout from the movies he has directed and things before. I think the key thing for a director for me is they understand it is Ian Fleming's ideas, work and project, not your own. You are there to put Ian Fleming's ideas on the screen, not do your interpretation of it.
Yeah.
But in terms of actors for James Bond, I think it's between two. Either it has to be or really my first choice is Henry Cavill or Reggie John Page. I think those two are but in terms of keeping with that Bronson era, but still when you want to give a bit of a Dalton hardness to it, as Brosnan did, those two actors I think would absolutely get Bond and deliver a fantastic performance.
Okay, I mean, I knew you really liked Henry Cavill the role. I still don't think he's going to do it. I still don't think he's going to do it because I think he's very passionate about making his Warhammer 40k TV show and producing it and being all part of that. I think that will stop him as well, like his Highlander reboot, which I know he's like.
It's a massive mistake. I'm sorry, but I don't know. At least I've noticed Henry Cavill is the clear and obvious first choice. Find a way to get him to do it. He's clearly the right person. Reggie John Page would be great. I think he's still relatively young. So you need to got Cavill for 5-10 years because Cavill's not the youngest now. Get 2 or 3 movies out of Cavill, then do Reggie John Page after that would be my preferred option.
Yeah, there's potential. There's potential. I didn't know you were such a fan of Renaud Jean Page maybe taking over the role.
Sorry, I got his name wrong. I really think he's a great actor. I know I've only really seen him in Bridgerton and bits and pieces, some other thing. I'm not the biggest fan of Bridgerton on that. Well, I like Bridgerton.
I've never seen him. You should watch him in Dungeons and Dragons.
I liked them that.
Yeah,
I like that. Either of those two. The other ones they're talking about, Aidan Turner.
Turner, not really being talked about at the moment. It's one of the big names going is the actor Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh dear God.
I think he'd be quite good, actually.
I'm sure he's an excellent actor. If they decide to go with him rather than the clear obvious to the Bond directors and filmmakers out there, the only thing I can say to you honestly is good luck.
So you did send that in a message to me privately as well. I do remember that exactly. But no, that was good. There are plenty of people's names going about at the moment. Some smaller actors, some big actors. I think it's a lost thing that we never got this actor to be Bond. I would have loved seeing Tom Hardy do it.
That they picked Craig over Hardy is criminal.
They didn't actually. It was Cavill they picked him over.
Henry Cavill over Tom Hardy.
No. Sorry, everyone. I know I've told you this, and prepare to see my brother have a serious meltdown on live on this channel. Everyone, in 2005, it was between two actors for Casino: Daniel Craig, who was Barbara and Michael's favourite, and the studio wanted a much younger 20-year-old Henry Cavill. They chose Craig over Cavill.
Are you serious?
So everyone, let's just let James.
Are you? I'm not allowed to swear.
Well, Cavill's gone back and said he's actually glad he didn't get picked back then. He was 20 years old. He was still young, very, not really doing it.
20 is quite young for a Bond. You really want an actor in their 30s or early 40s.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of longevity to it. I can get that, but it's just, why did you pick Craig? If then, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to find balance. I think maybe Craig would have been better with the different films, earlier films.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I say we don't, obviously we don't know what's going to happen next. It's just, a mystery very much. I still think we're going to get some big news this year about it. I'm just hoping.
I hope so. It'd be really the kind of thing I think everyone could want. Because obviously, it's like it's easy to get down. But so having some good news about Bond coming forward is like, right, we've got this plan and we're going to do this. We're feeling really confident.
Yeah.
We're going to go back maybe to, go back to the 70-star movies with our new Bond. We're going to do these things here. That'd be really good.
I know. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I mean, James, thank you so much for being on the show. I mean, obviously, first time, maybe potentially the first of many. We'll see how people go with it. Just thank you, and I know I'll be seeing you soon.
Anytime, absolutely. See you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us. Obviously, two brothers chatting, reminiscing about the good old days a bit, certainly. And the lessons we can go from here is multiplayer was better when it didn't have online play. It was with a multi-tab, and that was the best way.
What do you mean? You've got to have friends? I've got a friend. I've got to invite them over.
I know.
You've got to invite friends over and play with each other. Oh, no. Can't do that.
No, I wish it was that way. Anyway, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Goodbye.